Well, so Nick Lemann, how do you see legacy media, old media, whatever you want to call it, responding to these changes?
Well, everybody's trying to figure it out. It doesn't have to be an either or, and this is one of the miraculous things about the web. Most traditional media are experimenting on the web with some format where part of the site or part of the homepage is devoted to traditionally produced content, and another part of the homepage takes you into a world of reader-generated content. So you really don't have to say we're going all one way or all the other way. It's a wonderful medium to do both at once.
Mark, how do you see this, this question of shifting in control and how old media is reacting?
Well, there's no doubt about it. User-generated content, the idea that everyone in this era can become a journalist, is a very important fact and has knocked away some of the gatekeeper function. But we have to remember that there has to be some kind of a business model to undergird journalism. And that's the real issue now as we transform from the traditional mainstream media business model to the online business model, which doesn't yet support professional journalism in a traditional way or support opening bureaus across the world.
Business model just means how do you make money
how
out
do
of this,
you make
right?
enough
Let's
money
cut to the quick here.
How do you make enough money, and where's the balance of power? Online ad revenue growing much faster than legacy media ad revenue, but still only a portion of it.
How do you see that? How are people looking to create a business model or make money out of this?
Well, the central question has been for years, who is going to pay for basic news gathering? Who is going to pay for all of those newsroom functions that we've associated with the traditional newspaper or a large broadcast news operation? Right now, the online revenues don't support that, which is why newspapers in particular are beginning to feel it in a very acute way. But Mary Hodder's example was an interesting one, the UCLA taser incident. That shows not just citizen journalism or public journalism or user content, but also gets to something that Dan Gilmore, formerly of the San Jose Mercury News, liked to refer to when he said, "My readers know more than I do." There's an example of students with cell phones actually uncovering news. And what does the Los Angeles Times do if you're the Los Angeles Times? For that matter, what do local stations in Los Angeles do? Right. Do you embrace it? Do you try to keep it at arm's length? I mean, that's really a little microcosm of what's going on very broadly in the industry and in the business.
Mary Hodder, do you see some? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna hop in there. You know, the thing is that I think it would be extremely bad for the democracy if legacy media went away. We couldn't have that, and we need it. Whether it's for reporting, and it's very expensive, of course, to do investigative and worldwide journalism, or whether it's creating the Desperate Housewives TV show. I mean, these things are really expensive. I think what you're really getting at around business media, business models, is that in the media, we've developed models that support these very expensive creation tools, as it were. And what we're doing now in terms of transforming to the web is going from an eyeball model to something where attention is the currency of the web. And so when you start to rethink what advertising means in terms of attention, you can parse who someone is or what they're about without invading their privacy in interesting ways and actually do something very different. So the old model was, let's throw ads up either in the investigative journalism report, the documentary, or Desperate Housewives, right? And we just spray the entire audience with an ad, and whether or not it's relevant to them, they get it. What's really interesting about the internet is that you have the opportunity to have a sort of an opt-in model where people who are really interested in something can opt in, and there's a sponsorship kind of model that can be attached to that. And it's all a big question right now, I think, about whether or not advertisers and brand managers will be willing to shift from that broadcast spray model to something where they can connect up with the 1,000 most important users for their brand and potentially enlist those folks as partners, folks who can give them good feedback, whatever, and in effect sponsor the creation of the content that is so expensive to make when it's professionally produced.
Nick Lemann, I wanted to go back to this issue of democratization and the citizen journalism. What promise and problems do you think it raises as someone who not only writes about the media but is training young journalists?
Well, There's nothing wrong with citizen journalism at all, and there's a lot of it. It's a very healthy development. The UCLA incident is a good example. The traditional media can't have a reporter and a photographer at every conceivable place something interesting might happen in the whole Los Angeles basin. So, of course they're going to miss stuff, and now that everybody has a cell phone camera, citizens will catch things. However, what I haven't seen citizen journalism do yet is really provide an ongoing, regular report that monitors the activities of government and business and so on. It's a kind of wonderful add-on and corrective to flaws in the conversation, but it doesn't conduct the conversation, and that's the value of traditional media. One other thing is, people just don't have time to scan an infinitude of news. So eventually people will come up and essentially establish themselves as the folks you can go to because they understand how you think and give you the kind of news they know you'll be interested in. So then you're sort of back in the soup of a few gatekeepers that tend to attract more people.
That's a part of the real big issue here, Mark, right? This whole gatekeeper thing. Who's going to play that role?
And, well, editors are going to play that role. I mean, journalism skills are not going to go away. Reporting skills, writing skills, editing skills in any media environment are going to continue to exist. And what you're actually finding in the online world is you're finding some professionalization and some more traditional aspects. Arianna Huffington's very popular blog recently announced they were going to hire traditional news reporters. There is an international blog called Global Voices that has editors stationed around the world sort of mediating content. So at the same time that you in theory have all these citizen journalists who can report for you, you're also starting to get the imposition of some of the traditional forms of newsroom guidance on some of these media outlets. There's no doubt about it. The idea of journalism isn't going to go away. The source of it will change in some ways.
But Adam Powell, you started this talking about science fiction at about the future. Do these standards, these traditional reporting standards, remain even in your science fiction world?
Well, the question is, how are journalists and editors going to respond? We've seen the rise of Google Earth and similar visualization tools. In 2007, we're going to see the rise of micro-local applications of that, where you can go in and construct a 3D model of your neighborhood, or if you're walking around with a cell phone will tell the system where you are, far more accurately even than now, and you'll be able to get advertising to your cell phone. If you're going into a bookstore, you might get an ad to your cell phone saying, well, gee, people who went to bookstores like this also liked the sort of thing we get when we go to Amazon or one of the other online sites. And advertisers are willing to pay a very high cost per thousand for that kind of highly targeted information. Now, how this intersects with journalism, what the new grammar or the new conventions of telling a story when we have access to 3D video, what those are, we don't know yet. We're barely learning now how to edit 3D video.
Well, Nick Lemann, I started by asking you if the conversation is all about the internet. What do you tell in the end? What do you tell the prospective journalists now about how to approach it, or even what medium to go into?
I get up on the first day of school and I say, welcome to Columbia Journalism School. I know that if you're devoted to it, you'll be a reporter, a journalist, but the way in which you'll be a journalist, I don't know. And I say to the students, be ready to learn the core functions of accurately reporting and writing the news, and be ready to be very flexible and creative about the means in which you do this, because it'll change in ways that'll be a lot of fun for young people to explore.
Okay, and we'll leave it there. Nick Lemann, Mary Hodder, Mark Jurkowitz, Adam Powell. Thank you all very much.